Yo, Harlem in the 1980s, certain girls had that glow. Certain girls would stop time when they came through. And Beverly Ash, aka Shameka, had that glow. Shameka was a well known around the way girl that a lot of dudes wanted to get with around that time. All the big Harlem drug dealers had the best women by their sides. Nicky Barnes at this time was the biggest name in Harlem. He had a woman by his side that Harlem respected. They were married with kids. And then came Shameka. At a certain point, Nicky's wife fell back and became a stay-at-home mom. And Nicky Barnes made Shameka his shorty. He bought her a Mercedes Benz, took her on trips, and gave Shameka everything she wanted. Shameka was like the Lil' Kim of the 80s. Every girl wanted to be like Shameka because of the notoriety she had being with Nicky Barnes. Nicky's wife even knew about Shameka and was okay with it. Well, let me say this. She wasn't okay with it, but Nicky had given her everything she wanted. So she wasn't okay with it, but she wasn't trying to make a big deal out of it. Nicky Barnes was a boss, and she just wasn't trying to worry about it. But she definitely knew that Nicky Barnes was out there messing with other women. But Nicky Barnes was in love with Shameka. And a lot of people think that Shameka is the main reason Nicky Barnes' whole empire crumbled. Now, hit my like button because I'ma explain how. Well, Nicky Barnes ended up getting life in prison, leaving his girlfriend Shameka alone in Harlem. A partner of Nicky Barnes, a dude named Guy Fisher, then made Shameka his girlfriend and started riding around Harlem showing everybody that he now had Shameka. Nicky Barnes finds out about it and was so mad at Guy Fisher that Nicky Barnes then became a snitch and took down his whole crew, including Guy Fisher. Now, I want to stop for a second because I want to ask the women a question. Is Shameka wrong for doing what she did? I want to ask the ladies, if y'all was in Shameka's shoes and Nicky Barnes was your man and had just got life in prison, this dude just was giving you everything you ever wanted. Cars, jewelry, clothes, apartment, whatever. Would you start dating his right-hand man right after that? Some women would do it, but they would want it to be on the low, in the beginning. Let Nicky get into his bed first before we make this public. I mean, do y'all think that Shameka was wrong for dating Guy Fisher and, Nicky Barnes now had life in prison? Would y'all had did that? If you had did that, how would y'all have went about that? Now, in the middle of all this, one night Shameka went to a bar to have a drink. I'm guessing she was stressed out. She missing Nicky. He never coming home. It's a lot of people in the hood talking about her and Guy. So she decided to go to this bar that's in Harlem to have a drink. On this particular night, the bar was kind of crowded, and this place was a well-known hangout spot where everybody went to. So while Shameka is at the bar having her drink, a white dude walks into the bar, walks right up to Shameka, and shoots her in the head, and then walks out the bar. Shameka was killed because a man named Raymond Clark had took over Nicky Barnes' drug empire, and being that Nicky Barnes was in there telling on people, Raymond Clark wanted to send Nicky Barnes a message not to rat on him. So he took out Shameka at the Monarch Bar in 1988. Raymond Clark was arrested on drug charges and murders. He confessed to killing Shameka and her brother Steven. He said when he did Shameka, he wore a black trench coat and a silicone mask posing as a white man. But Raymond Clark was black. He was sentenced to 50 years to life in prison. Rest in peace to Beverly Ash, known to Harlem as Shameka. On this episode of Infamous Women, let's look into the life of Stephanie St. Clair, born on December 24th, 1897 in the French Caribbean. Stephanie was raised by her mother, who was a single parent, and worked real hard to make sure Stephanie stayed in school. When Stephanie turned 12, her mother ended up getting sick and passing away. Stephanie had a job and had saved up some money to leave the French Caribbean for Montreal with the help of some sort of Caribbean domestic scheme that was bringing domestic workers to Quebec. She immigrated to the U.S. from Montreal and arrived in Harlem in 1912. Stephanie met a small-time drug dealer named Duke that became her boyfriend. Duke wanted Stephanie to prostitute for him, but ended up getting shot in a gang fight. After that, Stephanie met another dude that was selling drugs named Ed, who she began selling drugs with. After a while of dating Ed, Stephanie had made enough money to start selling drugs on her own. She had made over $30,000 and told Ed their relationship wasn't working out and that she wanted to leave. Ed got mad and tried to strangle Stephanie, but she pushed him away so hard Ed fell back and hit his head on the end of a table and cracked his skull and died. Stephanie wasn't charged because Ed was trying to kill her and it was self-defense. Months later, Stephanie invested $10,000 into a number running operation. Now, at this time in Harlem, the numbers game was ran by men, making Stephanie the only woman involved. She started hiring guys as number runners and was making around $20,000 a year in the 1920s. Stephanie was rich and would spend money to put ads in the newspaper educating Harlem about their rights and police brutality against blacks. The police didn't like what she was doing, so whenever they would see her, they would harass her and make threats. Stephanie then began putting ads in the newspaper saying the police were corrupt. The police arrested Stephanie on a made-up charge, and she spent 8 months in a jail-like workhouse. When Stephanie was released, she testified to the Seabury Commission and told them she was paying the police, and there were police still involved in the number running operation. The commission then fired more than 15 officers. Years later, the Italian Mafia decided to move in on the number running game in Harlem. Stephanie and her enforcer, Bumpy Johnson, beat the Mafia by tipping off the police about their number spots ran by an Italian mafia boss named Dutch. The help resulted in the police raiding Dutch's house, arresting all of his employees, and seizing more than $12 million in cash. Stephanie was getting bored and passed the business over to Bumpy Johnson. In the late 1930s, Stephanie married Sufi Abdul Hamid, but the marriage went sour when Stephanie found out that her husband was having an affair with a popular fortune teller named Fufu Tom. Stephanie got into a fight with her husband over the affair and shot him. She was arrested and sentenced to 2 to 10 years in the Bedford Hills Correctional Facility for Women in New York. Now, for those that know, that's the same prison where Remy Ma did her time at. Stephanie was released in the 1940s. She lived a quiet life writing columns in the local newspaper about police brutality, illegal searches, and other issues. Stephanie St. Clair died in 1969, shortly before her 73rd birthday. Rest in peace to Stephanie St. Clair. Thank you for tuning in to the Real Rap Show's Infamous Women. Give the video a like and subscribe to the Real Rap Show. Y'all stay safe out there. Real Rap.